Chapter 12 Houdini and Me Get a Life. When I opened my eyes, I was laying in my bed again, just as I had been before my little straitjacket adventure in Kansas City. First things first, I checked myself all over. I wasn't Houdini anymore. I was me. What a relief. My arms and shoulders were sore from struggling to get out of that straitjacket, but other than that, everything was back to normal. I looked at the clock on my night table. 11 o'clock. Well, at least Houdini had kept his promise. Metamorphosis had lasted exactly 1 hour. My mom never knew I was away. Nobody else knew what happened. No harm. It was like I had been in bed the whole time. I went back to sleep and didn't wake up again until my alarm went off at 7 in the morning. I brushed my teeth and stumbled downstairs for breakfast. My mom was already in the kitchen getting ready for work. "Morning," she said cheerfully. "Sleep good, Harry?" "Yeah," I told her. "I had a dream, I think." "Oh, what happened?" I could have told her the whole story of the straitjacket and pretended it was a dream, but I just didn't want to get into it. "I don't remember," I said. "It slipped away as soon as I woke up." When I got to school, Zeke caught up to me outside the media center. The little argument we had at St. John the Divine was in the past. Zeke and I have known each other too long to let things like that bother us. "You won't believe what happened to me last night," he said. "Do tell." "My dad came home from work, and he said he had a surprise for me," Zeke told me excitedly. "So he handed me the box, and I opened it up. And you know what was inside?" "What?" "A box," Zeke said. "So I opened the second box, and you know what was inside of it?" "Another box?" I guessed. "Yes," Zeke exclaimed, and there were 3 more boxes, each one smaller than the one before it. My dad gave me a bunch of boxes. "Your dad is a weird dude," I told him. "I know, right?" Zeke replied. "So what's going on with you?" "You wouldn't believe me if I told you," I said. "Try me." I wasn't sure I wanted to get into it with Zeke. He already thought I was crazy, and what happened to me the night before was even crazier. But Zeke is my best friend. He'd do anything for me, and I'd do anything for him. So I decided to be honest. "I switched places with Houdini," I said, checking to see if Zeke was rolling his eyes. "He calls it metamorphosis. He sent me to Kansas City in 1921, and I became him. When I got there, some guys put me in a straitjacket and hung me upside down from a building." I told Zeke the whole story of how I got myself free. He just stared at me with his mouth open the whole time. "Wow," he finally said. "That's way more interesting than my dad's boxes." "Yeah," I told him. "Your story was a little lame." Zeke took a moment to take it all in. I could tell he was trying to process everything I had said. Or maybe he was just wondering whether he should have me checked into a mental institution. "What was it like?" he finally asked. "Being Houdini, I mean." "I was scared to death," I admitted. "I thought I might pee in my pants. You think I'm nuts, right?" "No, no," Zeke assured me. "But let me ask you a question. If you switched places with Houdini and you became Houdini, did he become you?" "I don't know," I said. "I guess so. I had a dream that he was here, wandering around Times Square, trying to find a place to do his act." The bell rang, and we had to go to class. I told Zeke we'd talk about it later. All day long at school, I had a bad feeling inside. Houdini was going to text me again at some point, for sure, but I didn't know when. I had left the flip phone at home because I didn't want to deal with him. I was beginning to regret ever getting the phone. It's funny, when Houdini first contacted me, I was so excited. Now I was avoiding him, like he was a telemarketer trying to sell me something. "Mr. Mancini, did you hear the question?" my studies teacher, Mrs. Ashbury, suddenly asked. "Huh?" I said. "Yeah, I'm sorry. My mind was wandering." "Well, tell it to wander back to the Revolutionary War," she replied. "We'll have a test on this material tomorrow." When I got home from school, I did my homework and tried to study. I didn't talk much over dinner. Afterward, I went to my room and watched some YouTube videos to take my mind off of Houdini. My mom poked her head in my room. "You okay, honey?" she asked. "You've been awfully quiet today." "I'm fine," I replied. I guess I'm a little nervous because I have a social studies test tomorrow. Maybe you should get to bed early tonight, she said. I'm going to sleep now. I'll see you in the morning. Yeah, going to bed sounded like a good idea. Maybe Houdini wouldn't call at all. Maybe he got metamorphosis out of his system, and I wouldn't hear from him again. It occurred to me that once the battery on the phone died, he wouldn't be able to contact me if he wanted to. But right now, it had a full charge. It would take a few hours of solid texting to drain it. That's when it happened. Bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. Oh no, it was him. I did not want to text with him. I let it ring a few more times, hoping it might stop, but it didn't. Reluctantly, I flipped open the phone. This was on the screen. Harry, it's me, Harry. Of course it was him. Who else could it be? Yeah, I tapped. That was some metamorphosis, wasn't it? Yeah, I tapped again. I didn't want to get into an argument about it. I was mad. But Houdini was in a talkative mood. I was a boy, like you, he texted. It felt so good to be young again. And the city changed so much. The cars, the fashions, the skyscrapers. I had a wonderful time. At one point, I got arrested, and the cop handcuffed me. They thought they could hold me with handcuffs. Can you believe that? He went on and on, describing his adventure in New York, just the way it had happened in my dream. He could barely contain his excitement. I didn't respond. I just watched the words scroll up the screen. It didn't seem to register in his mind that I was angry. So how did you like being the great Houdini? He finally asked. I didn't reply. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. That's what my mom always told me. You still there, Harry? Yeah, I tapped. Something wrong? I decided to be honest. Yes, something is wrong. I tapped. You deceived me. How? He didn't have a clue. It was like he didn't pick up on other people's feelings. How do you think? I tapped. I could have been killed. But you said you wanted to be famous, Houdini texted. I said I would make you the most famous man in the world for 1 hour, and that's exactly what I did. You didn't tell me I'd have to hang upside down and get out of a straitjacket, I tapped angrily. You did a misdirection on me. You wanted to be famous, Harry, he continued. Fame doesn't just happen to people. You have to do something to get famous. In the 21st century, it occurred to me, people can become famous overnight by simply putting on some silly costume or by posting an outrageous tweet that goes viral. In Houdini's day, you had to actually do something amazing to get famous. And after you did it, there was no internet to spread the word about what you did. They didn't even have a television yet. Houdini had to risk his life escaping from something every day in every town in front of a live audience. And the people must have felt they had to make an effort to be there to see it in person, because they never knew when he might fail to escape or even die trying. Still, I was mad. He should apologize. You should have warned me, I tapped. That would have been the right thing to do. But admit it, he texted. You had fun, didn't you? Fun? I tapped. I wouldn't call it fun. Maybe it's fun for you to put your life out on the line. It wasn't fun for me. But you got out of the straitjacket, right? He texted. You escaped. Yes. And you confronted your fear of heights. I had no choice. And I bet it made you a better person, he texted. Now you know that if you could escape from that situation, you can accomplish anything. Maybe. And I'll bet you liked hearing all those people cheering for you. Yes, I had to admit. I enjoyed it when I threw off the straitjacket and the crowd went crazy. And you gave those people hope that they could escape from the problems in their own lives. I suppose. So, all in all, metamorphosis was a good thing for you. Agree? Maybe it was. I don't know. I was just glad it was over. He was a jerk. I thought that would be the end of it. I didn't want to communicate with Harry Houdini anymore. He had tricked me, and I did not like being tricked. I had been living a perfectly happy life before he entered it. I didn't need so much stress and excitement in my life. I tried to think of a way to end the conversation. "I am pretty tired," I began tapping, when his next text came in. "Harry," he texted, "there's something I need to talk to you about." Oh no, here it comes. What was he going to do now? Have me locked in a trunk and thrown in a river? "What is it?" I tapped, fearing the worst. "I want to do another metamorphosis." "No," I tapped right away. "You're joking, right?" "Hear me out," he went on. "This time you don't have to do an escape. You don't have to risk your life. You don't even have to be Houdini. You can be yourself." "What would I have to do?" I tapped. "Whatever you want." He texted, "We will switch places again, but you can just be a regular person." "I am already a regular person and perfectly happy living in my own time. I don't need to go back to the good old days." The good old days didn't seem that good to me, but I didn't want to make him angry. "What's in it for you?" I tapped. "Did you ever hear of reincarnation?" he replied. "Yes," I tapped, although I really wasn't quite sure what the word meant. "I get to live again." "Being alive for an hour means that much to you?" I asked. "No," he texted. "Being alive permanently means that much to me." He had to be joking. He couldn't be serious. He wanted to do metamorphosis with me? Forever? "I'm not going to live in your century," I tapped. "My mother is here, my friends, my school." "You can bring your mother along," he texted. "She will love it." I didn't have to think it over. It was a ridiculous idea. "No, thank you," I tapped. There was a very long pause while I waited for him to reply. I thought that maybe my phone battery had died. Wishful thinking. I checked the charge, and it was over 50%. "This is not an offer," he finally texted. "Harry, we are going to do this." I felt the hairs on my arms go up. He wrote it in a way I didn't like this decision was entirely his, and his alone. Like it was out of my control, but maybe I was just misinterpreting his words. "What do you mean?" I tapped. "Just what I said," he texted back. "We are going to do this." "You say that like I'm not part of the decision," I tapped. "You aren't." I was in trouble, I realized. Big trouble. Houdini had power over me. He knew I was afraid of heights, so he had me hung from a tall building. He knew I was afraid of bullies, and now he was bullying me. My mind was racing. The first time we did metamorphosis, I didn't have to do anything. I just lay there on my bed. It was all him. Could he actually do it a second time, but against my will? I was starting to panic. "Metamorphosis is over," I tapped. "Let's get back to our own lives." "That's easy for you to say," Houdini texted back. "You have a life. I'm stuck here in eternity." "That's really not my problem," I tapped. "No, but you are my solution." "I'm not doing it," I tapped. "I have free will." "You don't seem to understand, Harry," he texted. "I chose you. I am in control." "Why me?" I tapped as fast as my fingers could move. "Pick somebody else. I bet there are a lot of people in my century who would be happy to switch places with you and go back to the 1920s. Why don't you pick somebody who's unhappy in my time and would love for nothing more than to escape the 21st century?" "I'm sorry," he texted back, "but this is the way it's going to be." "You're sorry? This is a funny way of showing it." "You must understand something," he texted. "When I want something, I get it. That's one of the nice things about being famous." This was not fair. He was an egomaniac. Why had it taken me so long to realize that? I thought he just wanted somebody to talk to. "And what if I don't cooperate?" I texted. "I don't need your cooperation, Harry." "I thought you were a good guy." I'm a desperate guy. Desperate men do desperate things. I was a desperate guy too. The difference was that I was powerless. Houdini was right about one thing. Everybody wants to escape from where they are. Was I going to escape from where I was? Wait a minute. I tapped desperately. You played me. You knew everything about me from the beginning, didn't you? When you were asking me who I was and where I lived, you knew all of that stuff already, didn't you? Of course, he texted back. I may be dead, but I'm not an idiot. I needed somebody to switch places with me, and I found you. You're evil! Harry, I am a reasonable man, Houdini texted. I will give you 1 hour to pack a suitcase and say goodbye to your loved ones. I didn't know what to do. Sweat was pouring down my face. I closed the phone and hung up on him. End of the chapter.